Okay, no. Hear me out. So what you're saying is that me, who's practiced kicks for literally as long as someone can have practiced
man,
kicks.
I don't want to talk about it.
You just can't throw kicks in a street fight. There's nothing you can
I'm
tell
sorry.
me. Did you say you don't think that I could use kicks in a street fight? Okay,
What
so
did-
no, I mean, okay, we can. Is this what we're? Okay.
What are you doing?
All right, look, man. If we have to do this, we can.
Hey,
okay?
whoa,
You may be
whoa. Did you just change?
No, this isn't.
Yeah, I
No,
know.
I
thought
changed. You crossed the line, dude. I just thought we were gonna match. I wore this because you wore that. All right, look.
Perfect.
What is up? My name is Seth, and today we're going to talk about different kicks and how I think they should work in a street fight, the pros of each of the, we'll say 4 or 5 kicks that I decided to talk about, and then the cons of each one of them, why you shouldn't throw them or why you should throw them. Buckle in, you're in for a kicky ride, boy. Wow! Oh, sorry. Looks like you had a little bit of foot on your face. First one we're going to talk about is a side kick. The most powerful kick in all of martial arts. Super quick introduction to how the side kick works. You go like this. Knee comes up to the opposite shoulder. Heel immediately points at the target the whole time. Boom, 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 boom. Hip stays in front of the heel. Bang! And you drive with both halves of your leg. You have to be a little bit more sideways to your opponent for this one. But pros, incredibly powerful. Probably one of the more long range attacks. Hey man, I want to drop this. Right? Head stays far away from your target as long as you make contact. Also pros, nobody on earth who's trying to have fisticuffs with you is expecting for you to pop out a side kick. If I'm standing here like this, I'm like, look dude, I don't want any problems. And I drop a side kick into your rib cage, bad news. If you have the facilities for finesse when it comes to this side kick, you can really do some damage. You can pump one out really quick, you can cover a lot of range and keep yourself safe. But we're not just here to talk about the pros, let's also talk about the cons for side kicks in a street fight. Number 1, if I miss, I'm in bad trouble. Do not throw kicks unless you are prepared to get taken down or punched in the face. If you've only thrown kicks without the threat of getting grabbed and dumped, or the threat of being punched in the face while you do it, don't throw kicks in a street fight, period. Not worth it. If I'm here and I missed wildly somehow, or if you throw side kicks like a lunatic and you pick your knee up first and you let your foot dangle until you then turn it over, don't do that either. You have to be ready to get caught and dumped, worst case scenario. You should always be thinking about worst case scenario when it comes to a fight. Don't throw this kick unless you are prepared to deal with the consequences of if it all goes wrong. Con number 2, it's a little bit harder to throw the hands right after. So for example, with a roundhouse kick, bang, bang, my hips are a little more squared up to my opponent if I land it. But if I land a side kick, bang, now my back is a little bit further away, so I can't necessarily follow up the same way I would with a roundhouse kick. Bang, 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 or a front kick. Bang, bang. Now, it can present a little bit of a pro in itself where if somebody's coming in, and then I can bolt out of there if you have that kind of room, and that's the scenario that you're in, that you need to pop somebody and then get out. But which leads us to our next one. The next one we're gonna talk about is roundhouse kicks for a street fight, okay? So, back leg roundhouse kick. To the legs, nobody sees it coming, and humans do this really weird, interesting thing, where if you throw a roundhouse kick and it lands on somebody's legs, for whatever reason, even if they're not trained, they'll like throw one back. It's like the duplicate method or whatever. I don't know why they do it. But let's talk about the different capabilities the roundhouse kick has. It's an extremely powerful kick. It'll let you turn your hips into it. I'm a lefty with my legs, so let's go with this one, ready? It's a pretty fast kick. It does open your middle up a little bit, where if I'm like this and I throw this kick, I do have a little bit more of my chest showing, my face showing. I'm a little more squared up than I would be with the side kick. It also comes around the side. A lot of the strikes that people throw in street fights all come around the side here, right? Because you see people fighting, they're like this. They don't want to get touched in the face. And they'll like throw these big shots and they'll like start to charge in. It doesn't look pretty. And they get like almost pretty sideways and they have kind of like a tightrope stance. Being able to knock them off balance left to right, big pro. somebody's coming in, I'm like, oh, and I can take a step back and sweep out that leg, it's a win. Being able to pop somebody and give them a second thought on if they want to come in close enough to get kicked again, it's a pro. So let's talk about the different targets really quick for the roundhouse kick. Bang, to the legs. Usually their leg will be a little bit further out because they want their head further back. So it means it's prime for the pickets. Towards the body, it's not uncommon for like a kick to get caught, especially if it comes to the body. It's kind of natural instinct to want to grab it. And then to the head, not seen as much, probably not caught as much, but the main issue is it getting caught on the shoulder. Like those roundhouse kicks, it connects, but it doesn't do enough to get all the way through. And it gets caught on the shoulder, and then I've got one of these. Can create a big problem. Let's talk about the cons of a roundhouse kick. Number one con, when I'm turning these hips over, if I miss, most people, even like really, really trained people, if they throw a hard roundhouse kick and it doesn't connect, it is putting your leg in front of your body. A lot like what the side kick does if you miss the side kick. It's actually a little bit further away for the most part, because if I miss this, then my foot is further away from them than it would be if I missed the side kick. Con number two, street fights are all about explosiveness, driving forwards. If I go like this and I throw a low roundhouse kick with low hands and low intent, then what will happen is this guy's gonna bum rush through it, and even if that leg gets taken and they can throw one over top, you could be in a bad position. Con number three, we already talked about it, bang, kick into the body, then being able to wrap up and just drive. You don't have to be a wrestler to be able to go like this. Ow! Hoo! And take you on a ride. But one of the big pros that we talked about with the side kick, being able to go like this, bang, bang, and throw other strikes going bang. Oh yeah, you didn't like that, huh? And being able to rack up a combo with your roundhouse kicks to your punches, or your punches to your roundhouse kicks. Being able to go ba, ba, feinting with the hands, because what happens when you even act like you're gonna throw a punch in a street fight, the other person goes like this, right? They have a reaction which is severe because the consequences are severe. So a severe reaction really leaves the front leg open. You don't want that. Bang, let's talk about this front kick for a second. Icy Mike says the front kick is the best kick for self-defense. I disagree, I actually think it's a side kick. But he does have a good point. Front kick is a very easy to throw technique because you do it the same way you run. Like everybody knows how to run. It's the same concept. It's just adding a push towards the end of it and driving the hips. It's a strong kick, and you can get it at an angle that goes up and into the body. Side kick can go straight in. It can go up and into the body sometimes. Roundhouse kick can sort of do it, but this one's really good about going straight in into that diaphragm, which is huge for breathing. And breathing is a lot like holding yourself back from commenting on martial arts on the internet. If you can't do it, you can't fight. So being able to stuff somebody, it's a longer range attack. It's a really sturdy attack. Now, the reason that I don't like it as much is because a lot of people, as they throw kicks, start to lean backwards on this foot. As you start to lean a little bit further backwards, you have more of a risk of getting double leg, caught in double legs especially. Side kicks are a lot harder to catch than a teep is because of the weird way your foot sits. If a teep goes like this, I can wrap it up and pull it in here. Side kicks are a lot harder because you have to get through all that foot first. But front kicks have that same level of strike to kick capability because I can easily kick and throw punches because my hips are still facing my opponent. It also has a little bit higher level of variability. I can throw it with the front leg. I can throw it with the back leg. I can snap it up to the groin. Kicking up to the face, I wouldn't recommend. I think it gives up too much of your hips, and it's not worth it because not a lot of people in street fights fight like this. It's not like you're fighting wrestlers for the most part. You're probably gonna be fighting somebody who's like this. Their head way back, their stomach pushed forwards, which leaves a lot of good room for Muay Thai teep because of that backwards lean. You wanna go against the grain. If their body's like this, you wanna kick down. But enough about how good the front kick is for a street fight because you always have to take precaution. Let's talk about the cons. Con number one, we kind of already talked about. It's the idea that you could get caught. Coming around the side, it's kind of easy to catch. If you stuff a front kick and your foot is not in the right place, AKA your foot is not behind your hip. So if I kick like this, I need to have a brace because if I kick my foot like this, boom, I'm probably pushing myself back, which we talked about with the side kick too. I want to have something on the backside of me to keep me pushing forwards. Same con that comes with the roundhouse kick With turned hips come the ability to have more targets to get punched or grabbed or whatever. You have to be a little bit closer to throw a front kick and a little bit further away for a roundhouse and even further away from the side kick when it comes to your face to target ratio. But all of the cons are kind of the same thing. The side kick's the main different one here because of the more sideways stance. If you haven't yet, you should watch this video right here where I talk about when you should or when you're allowed to throw a kick in a street fight. All the different circumstances or situations that would allow you to actually throw a kick in a street fight. Whether or not you have experience, what kind of shoes are you wearing, are you warmed up, all that stuff. I hope you enjoyed this. I hope it helped you out in some way. If you want more kicky content, make sure you hit the subscribe button and turn on the notifications so you'll see the next one that comes out. And just keep in mind, I don't like to do this, but if you don't subscribe, I have to kick you. Just like I did to me over there in the little skit thing. Bow!